AJ's my dog. She's been with me from the beginning. She shrimp with me. As a puppy, she went out and we shrimp. Now that I'm oyster farming, she's oyster farming. And so she's right there with me 100%.
We're on Grand Bay, which is in the Gulf in Bayou La Battery, Alabama. We are farming the best oyster in the world.
Most people think of a southern oyster, they think of a 4 or 5 inch big piece of meat oyster. Right now what we're trying to do is 2 3/4 to 3 inch oyster and have a perfect little half shell, one shot oyster. It's taken some time for people to realize something like this can come from the Gulf. It's very known on the East Coast, very known on the West Coast, but this is new. It's really a new thing coming out of the Gulf, and it's exciting because, like I said, it's totally opposite of what people think about when they think of a southern oyster.
We have lots of oysters here already. Why would you go farm something that nature provides? The answer to that is, in the Gulf, you get a lot of variability. And so what I love about oyster farming with what we've done is we've given folks a way to produce a consistently high quality product.
What we're using is what's called the Australian adjustable longline system. We put about 60 to 70 oysters in each one of these grow-out bags and suspend the bag on a pair of cables that are suspended to the top of the water column. And they just float in the water and eat and grow.
Every 10 feet we put down a PVC pipe with clips on that pipe. And that way it lets us raise those lines up and down. We're raising these oysters all in the water column.
It's just a dance that you do, and you're trying to find that right height, that right water column as far as what do you want right now. So it's a balancing act, and what it is, it's a balancing act.
These oysters never touch the bottom, and we even take them completely out of the water at times to give them a little dry.
We'll take the basket, raise it up out of the water for 24 hours it helps the drying of the oyster. If anything growing on the shell, it won't grow.
The goal is to produce an oyster shell that's smooth and shiny and not glummed up with mussels and other things attached to it. Well, we're farming. We go buy seed and we plant it and it grows, we harvest it. It just so happened that it is an animal.
I think anybody can grow an oyster. When it comes to raising an oyster, you have to stay on them, you have to maintain them.
Whatever you're willing to put in, you can get out, and that's really what I've come to love about it, is as much as you want to do and as much as you want to pour into it, you can get back out of it. It reflects everything you put into it. Everything. And if you're some crazy guy that will pour himself into this oyster will look just like what you put into it. There's no, we'll get to it next week and nobody will ever know the difference, because people will know the difference.
Our oysters are made for half shell eating, and presentation is as much a part as the taste of the oyster. We're determined to give you both, not only a pretty oyster, but also a good tasting oyster.
We shake them in the baskets a lot of times, but we also run them through that tube. And that tube just rolls them, and they tumble and tumble and tumble, and it just breaks all the edges off of them, and it makes it go deep instead of growing out.
Shaking them helps to form the deep cup, the bigger eye, and actually the thicker shell. It slows the growth down, but it goes back into the body of the shell. On an oyster, you have a top shell and a bottom shell, and it hinges at the butt. Well, the bottom shell is the cup, and most white tablecloths or the end user likes a nice deep cup.
The main motivation for me is just to create the potential for somebody to make a living and stay living on the coast.
We're starting a new industry. So the Shellfish Laboratory in Auburn University has been instrumental in training other people, other families who want to live and work on the water in our community to get out there and learn how to do it and see what it takes.
Back in 2009, we had no oyster farmers. Right now, we're up to 8 different commercial farms. 2 acres, we figure, is about a full-time job. You're not going to quit your job on Wall Street to do it, but it is the type of job that if you're looking for a way to make a living and pay the mortgage and get the kids to school, it's a living. And it's probably a more reliable living than some of the other options that you might have as a commercial fisherman.
It just fit us. That's just who we are, something on the water. We're all about the water. My great-granddad, I have a copy of his license he purchased in 1892 to catch oysters. We've done this for our boys, just to carry it on, you know? And I didn't see that happening in shrimping.
We was looking to diversify and try to spread out just besides doing shrimping. And I stepped off a Gulf boat and I stepped onto this oyster boat and into this oyster world. And there's a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of differences. I think the big difference is I'm home every night.
Alabama actually processes more oysters than anybody in the Gulf Coast. So we have Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas oysters coming to Alabama, being opened and being sent out in an Alabama container. So you don't know, you've never really tasted what you know for sure is an Alabama oyster. When you come into a farm-raised oysters, you're going to know exactly where it come from. You're going to know the body of water it was raised in, and you're going to know that it's an Alabama oyster. And so this farm-raised oyster is giving people a chance to taste something they've never tasted.
The first one I ate, it blew my mind, and I want everybody to have that same experience. It's like eating salted butter. I mean, they're perfect.
You know, real butter has just a touch of salt. Too much salt would ruin the butter, and the butter that don't have no salt in it is horrible. It's just that little bit of salt that really makes a difference, and it's true with our oyster. If we get just a little bit of salt, it's phenomenal in the way it tastes. It's got a creamy taste. It's got just a light metallic aftertaste, and it's just, I don't know, it's unique in how it tastes.
You just cannot get the place like more defined than in this oyster that you're about to eat. And that's why oysters do taste different from different areas. They carry that flavor of where they're from. I'm just confident that if you get these oysters on a raw bar in New York City or in Boston or Chicago, that if you have folks that try some of these oysters, that they will be blown away, and that it is a world-class oyster.
To be able to have the Alabama oyster, that's a big deal to me. You know, I want everybody that comes into this town to be able to experience what Alabama has to offer. And when it comes to oysters right now, they've got a lot to offer.
Whatever we do as Alabamians, we are passionate. We're passionate people. We love to be passionate. Food's no different. We're passionate about our food. Why not have the best oyster in the world from Alabama? Why not? But it is. It's the gospel of the oyster. It's the gospel of the southern oyster. And that's what's so good. It's so new. It's a oyster revolution, a renaissance, you should say. That it's just this brand new thing that's coming out of the South, and it's exciting. And the best oyster coming out of the South is from Alabama.